Hello, welcome to my presentation about the paper Process-Oriented Documentation of User Requirements for Analytical Applications. I hope you hear me and you see my presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. So, my name is Christian Hrach from the Institute for Applied Informatics from Leipzig, and my co-authors are Hrach and Stefan Sackmann. For the beginning, I would like to give you a small motivation for my project, for my research project. So if in practice, during the development of analytical applications, there are many problems, delays, and failures. And the causes I identified during literature review were first, that there are unclear ideas on the user side about their goals, the detailed goals, their project scopes, and the detailed use cases and information which are needed within their processes and the functionalities which the analytical application should provide. Second, that the requirements formulated by users in an unclear and misleading manner, so that the technical developers couldn't not really understand what they have to develop and to create. A third, that there are data privacy risks which are known to the prospective users, but are not but the technical developers are not familiar with that, and then afterwards it comes up, and then there are lots of efforts to manage these problems. And fourth, that there's an uncoordinated planning of data analysis within the overall operational processes. That means that within the process, maybe there are different analytical applications running, and now they create another one, and they are not connected with each other, and that causes many problems. So that leads to the fact that models, configurators, and other tools used in the documentation of requirements are apparently insufficient. And my research process, the overall research process I use is a design science research methodology process by Peppers et al. And the superordinate research goal was to design a configuration approach for analytical services. So to specify these requirements from the user's perspective. And within this actual paper, I would like to give you some information and content about phase one, as you see on the right-hand side of this design science research methodology process. So regarding the problem identification and motivation. So I analyzed the state of the art in more detail. First, the models from research literature regarding the documentation and configuration of analytical applications. I used a structured literature review for that, and I identified 13 approaches and analyzed them in more detail. Second, I analyzed process modeling notations, which are suitable to identify the information demands within processes. So the BPM standard process modeling notation and BPM extensions, which are available in literature. Third, I analyzed the models provided with the analytical application products on the market, and I analyzed the 13 leaders, visionaries, and challengers of the Gartner's Magic Quadrant for analytics and BI platforms in the year 2021. And last but not least, I analyzed models, notation, and documents used in real-life analytical implementation projects, so via an interview or interviews and an online survey. Regarding the phase 5, the evaluation phase, I evaluated my constructed configuration approach using expert reviews with 17 projects and requirements managers and data scientists to prove whether this approach is useful and acceptable by the model users. And I tested it in 2 real-life analytical implementation projects. So first, it was project to create a report in an industrial setting, and second, that was a dashboard, population forecasting dashboard in the healthcare sector. Now I would like to come to my findings. So regarding the first phase, problem identification and motivation, as I said, I identified 13 approaches in research literature dealing with the specification of user requirements for analytical applications, as you see here on the left-hand side. And I identified in literature 13 items which are necessary to specify analytical applications, as you see here on the columns. So on the right-hand side, this typical analytical requirements content, so which data are needed, how is the presentation of this data, who are the users, but also such aspects. Is it necessary to provide automatic actions for the users, so alerting, for example? Is it necessary to give the users the opportunity to change their reports or dashboards using self-services or self-service functionalities? And is there a possibility to specify data privacy issues? On the left-hand side, such issues arise. Is it a service-oriented model approach so that it could improve the reusability of these models in other cases? And as you see here, the result is that no approach is really good in this comparison. So there are many gaps within. And as you see, no approach is suitable for this, to address all aspects which are necessary within this user requirement specification. Second, I analyzed the standard process modeling languages, so BPMN or event trigger process chains or UML activity diagrams. There you have got so-called information or data objects to specify the information demand within processes, but these are only black box objects. So you have just an identifier and you don't know what is behind. So where does this information come from and how it's created or something like that. There are some BPMN extensions. These extensions expand information content in the model for these data objects, but in most cases it represents technical or data-oriented aspects. So, for example, data models or backend data flows, which are interesting for these developers, technical developers, but not for the users. And in rare cases, you have got representation of domain-specific information demand. So for special user domain, for example, disaster management, you have got possibility to configure some background, but only the approach of D'Ambrosio et al. Considers a very small part of the common conceptual analytical requirement spectrum. So he gives the opportunity to specify threshold values for key figures to support simulation runs. But that's only a very small part of the whole user requirements. The third analysis was regarding the products and analytical application products on the market, whether they provide configurators. So, but I found there are no specific models or configuration structures within these products, and these products only support textual change requests regarding existing dashboards or reports. So you can write a text, a plain text, but with no structural guidance within. You have got interfaces to software development applications, for example, GitHub, where you can maintain requirements, but that's not in the real application product, the physical application product. These are another software tools. And in some cases, you have got community areas to collect and discuss ideas, but that's, again, only plain text. So no structural guidance for that. And what comes up that the software vendors pass the responsibility and the choice of the suitable requirements configurators to the external implementation partners, and then was the starting point to analyze these configurators and documentation models in more detail. And I had some interviews here, and I found that you have got several document types which are used in these analytical projects. So textual user stories where you are used quite often, and they are requirement catalogs and data models, requirement specification sheets, and in some cases backlogs, process descriptions, or more. And the two main issues I would like to show you here is that no document type is perfect, that there's space for improvements for all of them. And the second aspect is that regarding the completeness of content, the comprehensibility of content, regarding the frequency of inconsistencies, that the requirement catalogs are quite well suitable to specify these requirements. They are quite well here. And so the decision was made to create a requirements catalog with some alternatives, which you can choose whether this one or this one you would like to use or to design your own applications. It was the choice to use this requirements catalog for my own for my own approach. And here you can see a structure which is needed to specify some dashboards or reports in detail. So you have got several levels where you can specify several services to create a whole dashboard or service or a report. So maybe you can start in the analysis level, so you can specify which performance indicators are suitable for a special use case, which information are needed from the users. Then you can specify in more detail which are the basic data you need to calculate these performance indicators. Where does it come from? Who is the owner of this data, and so on. Then you can specify diagrams using these performance indicators. So you see which diagrams should be used, how they have to look like. And then you can specify, okay, which diagrams are necessary in special dashboards or reports. So the dashboard is a visualization of analytical information which you can change. You can use filters, as you see here, but reports are static visualizations. And I created my approach, and now I would like to come to the evaluation phase. I showed this approach to several experts, and they made a review. And as you see here, the results were really positive. So yeah, I've got high benefits or increased benefits, for example, regarding the completeness of content, which was reached. That is a good starting point for a technical concept. Or you can obtain a good overview of the analytical process support. Which was interesting that they said that it's a added value, increased added value or high added value for them in comparison to the used approaches they use actual in their projects. And that was a nice result for me, that my approach has got benefits in comparison to their used models and documents. Here is an example which I created. That was this machining daily demand. And as you see here, I combined or I used the BPMN process modeling notation as a basis for my visualization of this use case. So that's a normal process visualization here. You have tasks which are combined using these flows. And within the special activity fetch parts for production from stock, you have to use some analytical information, or this analytical information is needed, and you need a report here. And these reports are visualized using the BPMN data objects. So to have an overview how this whole use case is designed. And this report consists of one diagram, the updated daily volume table. And within this diagram, you need a performance indicator called machining daily demand. And this machining daily demand has got two data sources here, the direct supply stream data, and second, the production program data. And these both data sources are needed to create this or to calculate this machining daily demand. Then you've got an update service, the updating machining daily demand. That's an update service. So this indicate that this performance indicator has to be recalculated once a day. And then there's another alert service. So if the daily volume is achieved, then one member gets an alert. To specify these special,
you have 1 minute left. Please,
yeah, okay, yeah, I'm nearly done. So to specify these special services, you have got some modeling objects, as you see here, and I would like to show you this example here. So the report service should have a headline, and you can specify, okay, what is this headline? You can specify this another attribute or another aspect. So how this report is accessed, the user hardware, the users use it's a PC or notebook from Windows. You have the supported work mode. Here's just online, and you can specify all aspects regarding the report service and the following diagram service. These are another visualizations following. As you see here, performance indicator service, for example, you can specify indicator dimensions, indicator units, how it is calculated, analysis methods, and so on. So thank you for your attention. I hope you had you got nice information, and if there are some time left, please ask.
Thank you, Christian, for an interesting presentation. Do we have any question, remark? There is a time for a short question. Yeah. We have silence. Maybe I will start our discussion. Christian, please tell me, how do you think? Is your research part of the wider research? Do you have a perspective to publish next paper? Because the subject of the papers, the topic is interesting and up to date. I think there's a great practical and scientific potential to develop the wider research presented in a quality journal. My only objection is maybe your research team you will take into account one important step during the approaches selection process. Researchers try to provide the lack of bias during the sources selection, the literature selection process. As you have a state of art in your paper, during the state of art the part of the paper, I think that some of the literature review methodology should be used, like Prisma and so on. It allows us to first properly select the sources. The second, to provide the lack of bias in the term of scientific completeness of your research. That's my remark, let's say, not question.
So thank you for your remark.
Pleasure.